Hello and welcome to Newsband. It's good to have you on the other side, listening, watching Newsband wherever you are. My name is Lydia Odrada, and we've got this discussion for you. It's good to know that 2023 is 6 months away, and the electoral process is seriously gearing up. Everyone is preparing for 2023 as the youth of Nigeria are hitting different stations, different units to get the PVCs all in readiness in preparation for 2023 elections. And of course, you are free to vote whomever you want to vote for. You have the right to exercise a franchise, and you also can support whom you want to support. Now we've got Professor Chris Mustapha Nwaokobia right here. He'll be telling us why he endorsed Peter Obi for 2023 as the president of Nigeria. Prof, you're welcome, sir.
The pleasure is mine.
Good to see you. Just before we start, it will interest you to know that Prof is a political analyst and he is a convener of Country First. That's to tell you that he's got the interest of Nigeria at heart. And so we'll be delving straight ahead into the topic of discussion for today, which is why Professor Chris Mustapha Nwaokobia endorsed Peter Obi. Okay, Prof.
Is that a question to me now?
Not a question to you yet, just 1 second. Okay, some Nigerians say Peter Obi will not win and they will not waste their votes. What do you say about this?
Let me say that oftentimes when you hear people analyze the Nigerian political environment, and some almost always think that they know too much about Nigeria, that they forget that all over the world, there are moments and there are times. And we have had, since 1999, two major political parties on our political amphitheater. We've had the APC coming off several names. That's one of the tendencies of the two. And then we've had the PDP since 1999. And the question is, how well has these two major parties done? The question is, how well has the Leviathan, if you like, that's what I would love to call the PDP here, and how well has the Behemoth, if you like, and that's what I want to call the APC here, done in governance? I have always said that the time has come for our country to assess where we're headed, to do the debate and the analysis. And then I am happy that what you're doing today is increasingly going to help us deepen our democratic process. It's going to do that in so many ways, because as I dissect the issues and the reasons, if you like, for which I have opted for the Peter Obi candidacy, it will perhaps help those who think that the Behemoth and the Leviathan will continue to control our politics ad nauseam, ad infinitum. It will help them understand that it is no longer business as usual. We have had promises of job creation. We have had promises of security. Don't forget that this present administration rose to power in 2014. Then I was the DG of Indian Ambassadors of Nigeria. We told Nigerians that we're going to fight corruption. We told Nigerians that we're going to ensure that matters of insecurity is squarely dealt with. We made fundamental promises as to diversifying the economy and making Nigeria great again. We made promises as to job creation. And almost 7 years after, what this administration has succeeded in doing is democratizing insecurity. Time was when predominantly insecurity was an issue in the Northeast. Today, largely, insecurity is a national problem. You have murderous urchins, brigands, and bandits dishing out terror in the Southeast. You have them in the North Central. You have them in the Northwest. You have them in the Northeast, the Southwest, it has become a matter of great challenge and grave concern. So as I talk to you, it behoves on those who, I'd rather waste my vote, and I say this without fear of equivocation, than give it to those who have consistently contributed in the despoilation and destruction of Nigeria. I'd rather waste my vote than give it to those who will continue to ensure that our children and our students are not in school. I'd rather waste my vote than give it to those who are not concerned about job creation. I'd rather waste my vote than give it to those who have consistently held our country down. I'd rather waste my vote than give it to those who have liberalized and democratized corruption and killing. And that is exactly why it is important that we make Nigerians understand that the time to do things differently is now. And on the political kaleidoscope, on the political horizon, we have a candidate who is saying that things can be done differently. Don't forget, Lily, that a few weeks ago, I was speaking for the youngest governor in Nigerian space. I'm talking about Governor Yaya Bello, who was running for the presidency on the platform of my party, the All Progressive Congress. I was speaking for him. And I've told people that the reason I did that was because I wanted new tendencies. I wanted youth, vivacity, and strength in leadership. The moment he lost it, I said to myself that what is important is no longer about youth and just new ideas. It's about vivacity and great ideas. And as I talk to you of the 4 leading candidates, and I mean the candidate of All Progressive Congress, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, I mean the candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Waziri Adamawa Atiku Abubakar, I mean the leader of the Kwakwansia movement, Rabiu Kwakwanso, and then I mean fundamentally the leader of the greatest movement in the land today, who has consistently said that Nigerians can stop borrowing, who is saying that we can revolutionize how governance is done in this country, who is saying that things can be done differently, and that's former governor of Anambra State, Peter Obis. He's a candidate I have endorsed, and I have done that with my whole heart, because I am convinced that it's time to do things differently, the time to make Nigeria great again, the time to refix our country, rework our country, and put our country right again is now.
Okay, thank you very much. Now you've shown so much confidence in the man Peter Obi with his new ideas to move Nigeria forward. Now here's one thing we should look at. Do you see Peter Obi get into Aso Rock come 2023?
The biggest structure all over the world is the human capital. The biggest structure all over the world is human beings. The greatest wealth all over the world is human beings. And as I talk to you fundamentally, the P2B movement is a movement that is like a sweltering harmattan sweeping through our nation. It's a massive urgency. It's a strong fervency. And when I talk to people, I am saying this without doubt. Remember a few days ago, about 4 days ago, the governor, the sitting governor of Edo State, did say that even in his home, he asked those who were listening to him, don't you have them in your homes? They call themselves obedient. The obedient fervor flows from Karu Namuda to Eket, from Eket to my hometown of Ibuzo, from my hometown of Ibuzo to Abeokuta, from Abeokuta to Ilorin, Ilorin to Kafanchan. Across the nooks and crannies of this country, young people are saying never, ever again. Young people are saying that the time to do things differently is now. Young people are saying that though tongue and tribes may differ in the candidacy of former Governor Peter Obi were united. Because don't forget, Lydie, that hunger is indiscriminate of ethnicity. Don't forget that hunger does not care whether you're Muslim, Christian, Igbo, Yoruba, or Hausa. Don't forget that when insecurity ravages our nation, it does not cherry pick whether you're Igbo, Yoruba, Hausa, Christian, or Muslim. Don't forget that our brothers and sisters who are on the younger side, who are supposed to be in school, are out of school, and that the ASU strike hasn't said that if you're a Christian, you can come back to school, or if you're a Muslim, you can stay at home. The ASU strike hasn't said that if you're Igbo, Yoruba, or Hausa, you can go to school. No. The problem with our country is predominantly indiscriminate of creed or clan. The problems with Nigeria does not care whether you're Igbo, Yoruba, or Hausa. It is politicians who have used it. So what Peter Obis is saying essentially is that we can unite as a people and take back our country and take power away from those who have held us down. And I sincerely believe that the mass movement that you see across the nation is sufficient to take back our country. Let me give you a bit of the demography. Over 70% of those who are within the voting population in this country are young people, young boys and young girls, people between the ages of 18 and 35. And then the other round are women. I tell you, Lydie, that as we progress towards 2023, the movement that you have today, which you see at various INEC centers where people are registering, are saying that we can do things differently. Some have even turned the cliché PVC to Peter votes count. Peter's votes count. They are telling you that all they know is come 2023, they are going to vote for a candidate who's different from the others. And I said to you, Lydie, that you cannot solve a problem the same way it was created. With all sense of respect to candidate Atiku Abubakar, with all sense of respect to candidate Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Nigeria and the new world has gone beyond their tendencies in leadership. I said this without equivocation. I said this with profound respect. We're looking for a leader who can think on his feet. We're looking for a leader who's strong enough to engage with the world. We're looking for a leader who understands the language of business. We're looking for a leader who has empathy and passion. We're looking for a leader who is able to work 24 hours non-stop, if need be, because the challenge of fixing our country is far more onerous now than ever before. So I think that what candidates Atiku can do and candidates Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu can do is to understand that when the young people are saying that they are obedient, they are actually saying that they want a better Nigeria. When the young people are saying that they are obedient, they're actually saying that they want things to happen differently. When they're saying that they're obedient, they want responsible and responsive leadership in this country.
Now, talking about wanting things differently, Mr. Peter Obi did something differently. Instead of looking for another big party to pitch his tent, he did go to a Labour Party. I can assure you that many Nigerians didn't even know about the existence of the Labour Party. Now, this is a party that Mr. Peter Obi went to. And of course, news gone around that the party doesn't even have structure. Once you take, what do you say about this party, a structureless party news that's going about town?
I've asked people, how do we define structure? What actually is the meaning of structure in political engagement? You're talking about human persona. You're talking about people at the local government level. You're talking about people at the units. You're talking about people across the country. And as I talk to you, Lydie, as I talk to Nigerians and those who are listening across the world, fundamentally, if there is a party that has a raging structure, if there is a party that has people across the country who are saying that they identify with a call for a new tendency in leadership, it is the Labour Party. Across this country, young people are standing up and saying we must get our PVC. People have gone to courts to ask that INEC extends the date for registration further. People are saying that never ever again in the churches, in the mosques across our country. Let me make you laugh. Did you see the video a few days ago of a lady who was in one of the two big parties? She got up and said she was giving up her office to the Labour Party. Did you see the young man in Gombe State who gave up his property for the Labour Party? In Bauchi, across our country, they understand that there is a message that is beyond ethnicity, because hunger is beyond ethnicity. They understand that there is a message that is beyond religion, because insecurity is beyond religion. They understand that there is this message that is beyond strike and want, because Peter Obi has said that we can make our country great again. And I say without equivocation of any sort that if there is a party that has a structure now, it is the structure that the movement of the masses of our people across the nooks and crannies of our country has effectively erected. And that structure is a structure of young women, young boys, young girls, fathers, mothers, who are saying that things must be done differently. That structure, I dare say, is bigger and stronger than the structures of the two major parties put together. Because across this country, people are saying it must be business unusual. Across this country, people are saying that we must do things differently. Across this country, people are saying that we must bet a new dawn for our children and indeed posterity. Across this country, people are saying that with their PVCs, they are even saying, okay, if your argument is about no structure, we want to vote for the structureless party. Some are even saying, if you think we're going to waste our votes, we are ready to waste our votes on that which makes fundamental sense. And I want to say that across our country, people who are rooting for P2B, the obedient movement, are not just naysayers. They're not just the scums of the earth. They are ideologues, they are intellectually smart and sagacious people. They're people who have left the big parties. You cannot say that, I've been in politics since I was 18. I was one of those who was effectively involved in the Hope 93 campaign as one of the youth leaders. This was 30 years ago. I'm 51 this year. I was the youngest to have ran for the office of president until the Not Too Young to Run bill came. I ran for presidency in 2011. I gave it my all. And so people, anybody who's saying, oh, come on, you people are hallucinating, do not perhaps understand what we're saying. There's an idea whose time has come. And don't forget that in Nigeria's historicity, every 30 years, something massive and monstrous has always happened. Let me take you to pre-colonial Nigeria. 30 years before independence, the likes of Herbert Macaulay had begun a movement that was predicated on the use of the media for the emancipation of Nigeria. 30 years after, when Nigeria had become independent, there was the fervency that led to a Republican Nigeria. That was in 1963. Follow me carefully. 30 years after, when people thought things couldn't happen differently, flying a Muslim ticket in this same country, Chief Edgar Abiola of blessed memory won a free and fair election. And those who thought that they could hold Nigeria down in perpetuity annulled that election. And I'm talking about June 12, 1993. 30 years after, we're going to be going to the polls in 2023 to elect a new leader. And I'll tell you, Instead of the annulment of the June 12th election happening again, instead of an annulment of elections in 2023, we shall annul through the ballot the old order. We shall annul poverty. We shall annul insecurity. We shall annul hate. We shall annul politics of hatred, politics of religion, and politics of region. We shall raise up the banner of brotherhood and fix our country again. And that's exactly what is about to happen. I told people that there is something called the signs and the seasons and the times. For those who are Christians, they call it the dispensation of the sons of Issachar, who will understand the signs and the seasons and know what God is about to do. For those who are mystical, those who profess deep thesis that is centered on numerology, those who are mystics, they understand that there is something called numerology. And of the two leading candidates in Nigeria today, in numerology, Atiku Abubakar at the PDP convention had 371 votes. Bola Ahmed Tinubu at the APC primaries had 1,271 votes. In numerology, they scored the same thing. So they will cancel themselves out. That's the truth. The old order will cancel itself out. That is why there is a monstrous movement across the country. And I tell you, I have no doubt in my mind whatsoever that come February or so, 2023, the masses of our people from the north and the south, the masses of our people across the 6 geopolitical zones, the northwest, the northeast, and the north central, as well as the southwest, southeast, and the south-south, will aggregate at that pallor where this massive ballot-based revolution will produce Governor Peter Obi, ex-Governor Peter Obi, as the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And our battle and journey to fix our country will begin effectively.
Okay, thank you so much. So we'll move on to the next question. And this is coming from a recent video that is in circulation. I had seen that video earlier today. In that video, there's a whole lot of bags of rice in a warehouse with the picture of Bola Ahmed Tinubu on it. And you have already mentioned that hunger is ravaging the country. And this rice, of course, will be given out to the citizens, to Nigerians. Don't you think this will divert the attention of Nigerians?
Let me say very clearly and importantly that the Nigerians of 20 years ago, the Nigerians of 10 years ago, are certainly not the Nigerians you see out on the streets today. 5 years ago, we were begging people to go register to vote. 5 years after, Nigerians are begging to see centers where they can register. Nigerians are staying in the queue for hours because they want to register. That's point number one. Point number two, no matter how much hunger has held down the people, those who led the French Revolution said that hunger has a dual function. It either numbs you to reality or awakens you to reality. Right. What we have in hands today is the hunger that is awakening the Nigerian people to reality. Our people are increasingly coming to terms with the fact that we're where we are because successive administrations have failed to deliver on the promises of democracy. Our people are waking up to the reality that things can actually be done better if we use our thumbs rightly. And so, if you like, if they like, they can buy more bags of rice, open more warehouses, buy more vehicles, get more dollars. Don't forget that a general election is different from a delegate election. At the delegate election, you have a few numbers so you can throw your dollars around. At the general election, you will find out that the Nigerian people understand the value of their vote. They're beginning to come to terms with the fact that in 2014, 2015, those who are today in power made several promises and they gave them their votes. 7 years after, almost all of those promises have been dashed. As you and I talk, Lady, the schools are closed down for about 4 months, and we have had several strikes within the past 7 years. As you and I talk, the dollar to the naira is over 600 naira to a dollar today. As you and I talk, we don't have fuel. There are queues everywhere. As you and I talk, the tale is sickening ad nauseum, ad infinitum. As you and I talk, it's turbulent and tumultuous, troubles everywhere. And so I don't think that the masses of our people have been numbed so much so that they don't understand that a responsible and a responsive government will deal with issues about security. I don't think that our people are numbed, that they do not understand that what affects you, Lily, directly affects me indirectly, and vice versa. They are not numb to overlook the fact that if we have a responsible and a responsive government, things will get better. So I sincerely think that so many of these people will take the rise and still vote their choice. I'm confident that so many of these people will take the monies because it belongs to them and still vote their choices. That's exactly what we're preaching today. In the mass movement that is growing across the land, and the mass movement that understands the urgency of now, and the mass movement that Nigerians are largely coming to identify with, there is a cliche which will sway the ante as we move forward. And that cliche is take back your country for the good of your children and your children's children. With Peter Obi, we found a man who's ready, willing, and able to plot a new graph for our country. And our people, young, old, men, women, and every Nigerian above the age of 18 is beginning to identify with it. So I think that those who have the billions and who can buy all the rest should go on and buy it. After all, our people need food, so they will give them food, but they haven't lost their minds to hunger.
Okay. Okay, so it's been said that Peter Obi supporters are beginning to retaliate to different comments coming through to Peter Obi as a form of attack. What's your advice for supporters of Mr. Peter Obi?
Can I get that properly?
So when certain comments drop on social media, supporters of Peter Obi, when they don't find it good, they don't find it relaxing at all, they react, they retaliate.
Okay, I understand what you're saying. Lily, we're doing a lot. Since I got on board, we're doing a lot to change the narrative. We're telling our people that it is not time to return hate for hate, that returning hate for hate reduces the narrative, that it is time to return profound arguments for hateful darts. It is time to deepen the debate. It is time to raise the ante. It is time to talk about the positives of the candidate that we support. And we're saying that it is not time to also circulate and spread or share fake news. We're saying that what we must do is to dwell on the philosophy of Peter Obi, is to talk about how we can get our country working again. It's to talk about how we can grow the economy. It's to talk about how we can create jobs. It's to talk about how we can deepen the handshake across our country. It's to talk about how we can build brotherhood across the Niger. And I do sincerely believe that in the next few weeks, you will see a new approach to the entire. Don't forget that The reason you have a lot of young people who are going that way is that for so long, Lily, our people have suffered. So long our young people have been neglected. Let me make you laugh a bit. When I was in my very middle teens, I think I left secondary school at the age of 16, 15 to be 16 in 1987. About that time, we had Muhammad Buhari. What had him, Babangida had taken over. And then they told us that the young people, the youth, were leaders of tomorrow, leading over 30 years after. Who do you call Mr. President? Who do I call Mr. President? These young people are angry enough. They're troubled enough. They're bitter enough. But we're going to help them change the narrative. We're going to tell them, and that's what we're doing now, that anger won't give us what we want. That rather than agonize, we must mobilize. That rather than fight, we use the might of the pen. That rather than engage in invectives and insults, we'll engage in debates and facts. That's exactly what we're saying to our young people. That's what we're saying to those who are pensioners, who are poor and impecunious. That's what we're saying to our young brothers and sisters who should otherwise be in school, but they're at home because ASU is on strike. That's what we're saying to those who are victims of insurgency, banditry, insecurity, terror, and the likes. And let me make you understand why the young man here would also be taking the position he has taken. Lydia bear the scars of the Nigerian trouble. In 2015, I lost my immediate younger sister to kidnappers. So I know how it pains. I know what affects the Nigerian people out there. In 2006, I lost one of the brightest sisters of mine in a ghastly motor accident on account of bad roads in this country. So I have the scars. I understand what it is to be in a country that should otherwise be great, but is dysfunctional because leadership has largely failed the people. So as I talk to you today, I talk to you and indeed to Nigerians out there, conscious of the fact that we can make things great again, we can right the wrongs. And that's why when we're talking about being obedient, we're saying that our obedience is not necessarily to an individual. Our obedience is to the call to unite with an individual to fix our country. Our obedience is to the challenge to make the green, white, green great again. Our obedience is to the call to create jobs and make our economy great again. Our obedience is to the call to unite across this country for a new deal, a new dispensation, a new dawn, a new tendency, and a new proclivity in governance. That's what our obedience is about. And our obedience is beyond ethnicity and religion. Our obedience is beyond creed or clan. Our obedience is to a collective call to rebuild, refix, reset, and reposition our nation for greatness.
Okay, so we'll take some questions from the comments section. And this question is, does it bother you that Peter Obi has not revealed his manifesto?
Oh, in so many ways, he has put out the trust in so many ways and so many fora. He has put out the trust of his government in so many ways, so many places and so many forums. Every Nigerian out there knows what he wants to do with power. Every Nigerian out there knows what he wants to do with the economy. What I think that those who are worried about is the choice of a vice president. That will happen in a few days. You will find out that we'll be able to come with a vice president who will appeal to the generality of our people If there is any candidate of the first four, like I noted in my opening remark, if there's any candidate who's known with a manifesto, a tendency, a program, a vision, it's Peter Obi. The others are amassing resources. Some are buying rice and some are opening warehouses where they think that after the tendencies of the past, that stomach infrastructure will do it. But the Nigerian people are increasingly saying, go to Old Parade Ground and see young people in their thousands waiting to pick up their PVCs. Go to Enugu, go to Kafanchan, go to Berenin Kebbi, go to Bauchi, come down to Benue, go to Delta, across the country, go to Lagos. Young people, boys and girls, women and children, old and young, are increasingly challenged with a vision that they understand, which is rejigging the economy, creating jobs, which is making sure that our energy sector, a few days ago, you saw him in Egypt, discussing about how we can get the kind of wattage that Nigeria deserves. After 63 years or so of independence, you don't have up to 10,000 megawatts of power. This colossal failure must be put back. Nigeria must be put on the right track. And that's what Peter Obi is working on. That's what he believes. That was why he left the PDP. That was why he joined the Labour Party. He's saying that no longer again will those who belong to the species of the locusts, those who will continue to pillage our collective wealth and despoil our collective patrimony, no longer again will they hold us down in perpetuity. He's saying that together we can fix our country, and I want to challenge those who are listening to us. It is beyond what I say here. It's about what you will do. I've asked a lot of young people, don't think about what I can do. Let's all think about what we can do. If you talk to one and the one talks to another, and we continue to build chain of oneness and unity, you find out that before the month of November, those who say that Peter Obi does not have the structures will run for cover. If one talks to two and two talks to four, if we continue and spread this message the way it should be and refuse the lies and the falsehood of those who have held us down, I'm telling you with every sense of confidence, I'm saying that you can take it to the bank that come 2023, Peter Obi will have a landslide victory and we'll begin the journey of fixing our country again.
Okay, well, the next question is, does the fact that the Labour Party made no impressive showing in the Ekiti governorship election justify the claim that the Labour Party has no structure to win elections?
When did he join? Let me say this clearly. There's a disconnect between, before now, the governance leadership in Ekiti State has been between the PDP and the APC. They've been like exchange of batons. Now you have a movement, and the movement is a ballot-based peaceful revolution. And now young people who otherwise didn't have their PVCs are going to pick up PVCs. Now people are beginning to identify, and that's why you raise the question with the Labour Party. The debate is changing. The message across the country is changing. Are you aware, Lady, that a few days ago in two markets in Lagos, people who gathered and wanted to get their PVCs, some people who are afraid of the revolution that is building, tried to prevent them. Are you aware of that?
Okay.
It's gone viral. Nobody's disputing that fact. And the same people who are scared, of this movement are the ones who are saying that the movement does not have structure. It doesn't make you laugh. You're saying that the Labour Party does not have structures, and you're also fighting to see that the young people who are registering do not register. That's some kind of contradiction. What I'm saying, the election is about 8 months away, or about six, 7 months away. What I'm saying is that, and that's what I told you, by November, you will find out, Nigerians would say of a surety that the two major parties, the conjectures will be who will come a distant second. Because nothing can stop an idea whose time has come. I am a student of history. I've looked through historicity. People will tell you, oh, it's not possible, how do you do it? But you know what? When an idea matures, it becomes a massive fire. Go look at the social media, look at the streets. Some say, oh, they are in the social media. The marches you see everywhere in Lagos, in Bauchi, in Kano, in Abuja, in Delta, in Cross River, are they on social media? Those hundreds and thousands of Nigerian young people who are everywhere on the streets, are they on the social media? No, they're on the streets. The thousands of young boys and young girls, women and men that you see going to register to have their PVCs, where are they from? Aren't they human beings? The point is that it comes to a point where you have pushed the people so much to the wall. They're not fighting back violently. They're saying that they're going to use their tongues. And I believe that what we have coming is a peaceful, ballot-based revolution. Nigerians are going to vote for a man who cares about them. Nigerians are going to vote for a man who believes in prudence. Nigerians are going to vote for a man who believes that you cannot grow a nation without revamping its education. Don't forget that when he became the governor of Anambra State, Anambra was about number 26 or so in the education chart. In less than 6 years, he took Anambra from number 26 to number 1. Anambra has increasingly become the hub of technology in our country. And you remember those young girls who went overseas and won the best prize in mathematics? They came from Anambra. That's because of the revolution that came under the period of Governor Peter Obis' watch. As you and I talk, I am confident that if we aggregate at that parlor, where we nudge forward this masses-oriented, ballot-based revolution, come 2023, we'll have a new dawn, a new day, and we'll have a leader who cares about the masses of our country and who believes that together with a highly progressive world, Nigeria will occupy its pride of place in events.
And then we'll take this last question for the comment section, and then those whose hands are up will be called upon to ask their questions or make contributions. This question is from Annie. He says, presidential election will happen same day with Senate. How can this be managed, given that the elections will have to be that the electorate will have to vote for senators in either PDP or APC, and for presidency, votes Labour Party? Remember, Peter Obi will not be in the ballot, but Labour Party will. Can we say that our electorate are well educated to understand these dynamics?
Interestingly, Lydie, I was discussing with a few friends a few days ago, and I said to them that the cosmic does things in wonderful ways. If you're Igbo, you will remember a certain song. I was a little boy. I was about 10 or 9 years old then when that song was sung. You know. Interestingly, years after, Labour Party is that party that has the human persona on as its logo.
Yes.
So that song comes back alive. In the Southwest, there was that same song calling out the people to vote where you have a human being. And I think that the challenge now is on all of us. And I say this without equivocation. It is either by way of providence that Nigerians should now begin to put primacy on human lives. The Labour Party has its logo as a family. We must begin to think about how we put primacy in human lives. The logo will resonate as we continue to canvass and talk to our people. Our people will identify with a party that has human beings as its logo. Because after almost 30 years of our nationhood, in terms of this evolutionary period, in over 60, almost 63 years of nationhood, we have treated the Nigerian people as things. The time has come for a leadership and a party that will put primacy on the human lives. And don't forget also, interestingly, that Labour Party is a movement. You have the NLC that says, oh, Labour Party is our party. You have the trade unions that identifies with Labour Party. And you have several other groups. And then you have the students who, by reason of ASU and NANS, are people who naturally have an affinity with Labour Party. What we're going to be doing whilst talking about P2B is to tell our young people to identify with the logo, the message, and the philosophy of the party. The next 6 months is not going to be so easy, but the movement, you know, when you see a movement, even I remember my late father told me something, that you don't need the deaf and the dumb and the blind to be told when something, if there's war, even the deaf understands that he has to move. Even the blind understands that there's got to be a movement. Now we have a movement sweeping across our land. People are asking questions. They will identify with the logo. And when we go to the polls come February 2023, you will be shocked at how much people are able to identify with the logo of Labour Party more than they identify with the broom and the umbrella. Because for so long, the broom hasn't done the sweeping right. For so long, the umbrella hasn't shielded the people against the sun and the rain. So the time to think about the human persona, the time to concentrate on making lives better is now. And I believe that as we continue to preach the message, we will increase the momentum of the movement. And God willing, come 2023, we'll have a new dawn and a new day.
At this point, we'll have the floor open for questions and contributions. First on the list is Samuel Ijeneme. Samuel, please, if you're here, please unmute yourself and ask your question. Samuel. Okay, in his absence, let's take the question from Julius Bodage.
Good evening, everybody, and good evening, moderator. Mine is going to be partly question and partly contribution. Can you hear me, please?
We can hear you.
Very good. Now, I agree with you that youth appear to be spearheading the Labour Party movement or the candidature of Mr. Peter Obi. However, I still believe that we should not neglect the old brigade. My question is this: is the party or the presidential candidate, is he making any plan for a merger with some old brigade? I'm asking this question because as a fledgling party, the grassroots that constitute the bulk of the voters they are so used to the two old party, PDP and APC, that what we are experiencing here, the enlightenment we are experiencing here on the social media, is not cascading to the grassroots. And that is one reality we have to face. And that is why I said, are there plans to reach out to the old guard, and so that we will meet them somewhere, and so that we will use the old guard to reach out to the grassroots who are used to the umbrella and the broom? That's my question.
Very interesting question, Libby. Very interesting question. Let me say that as you and I talk, there are people who are reaching out to people in the grassroots. As you and I talk, the NMPP and Labour are still talking about the possibility of a merger and a working arrangement. As you and I talk, those who are within the TUC and NLC are also talking about mass campaigns. As you and I talk, there are groups that are emerging. I was telling a friend a few days ago, and this is truth. This is not about politics. When in 2014, 2015, I spoke for President Muhammad Buhari as the DG of Change Ambassadors of Nigeria, I didn't have the kind of followership that I had within 48 hours of making up my mind to work with P2B. And I'll tell you what I mean. Last week, I wrote a piece talking about the metaphysics of now and why I had made up my mind to work with Governor P2B, former Governor P2B. Within 48 hours, I was invited to over 46 groups across the nation. I was even surprised to find out that there is a group working for P2B in my hometown of Ibuzo. And this is no joke. And I found out that that group has 461 members in my constituency in Delta State. That's how serious we were taking this challenge. People across our country are pushing the narrative. I just got a pointer. Somebody who's listening says it's 500, over 500 members from my community, a town in Ibuzo, in Delta State. That's how serious. So don't mind it. Don't mind people who are saying, oh, it's only on the social media. No, people are moving around. People are campaigning. People are talking to people across this country. I have a friend who's a senatorial candidate of the Labour Party in Imo State. He's one of the most popular young men in that state, Chief Charles Ahinze. He was the leader of Obibo, you know. He's so much on the ground that in the governor's constituency, he's just, if you're talking about, oh, besides the governor of Imo State, he's one of the next persons they will mention. People are taking the message to the grassroots. And we will continue to do that because the redemption of our country is a collective challenge. I believe that just like you've asked, at your own little level, there's a lot you can do. There's a lot everyone can do. It's a collective challenge and it's a collective journey. And like I always sign off, we move, we win. If we move together, we'll win and redeem our country.
Okay, we go over to the next question. Theodore Anadem Anedum. Theodore, if you're here, please unmute yourself and ask your question. All right, it seems he's not available at the moment. Emmanuel Chukwuma. Emmanuel Chukwuma, please unmute yourself and ask your question. We move to the next, Emeka J. Ogu. Samuel Ijeneme, if you're here, please unmute yourself and ask your question. Okay, Pastor Emmanuel just joined the queue. Pastor, please unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hello. Hello, am I heard?
Yes, we can hear you, Samuel.
All right. I thank you for this opportunity, bringing all the young, vibrant youths together. This is the first time the heavy tsunami is happening in this country.
That's right.
This shows that it's an inclusive decision. This is the first time we don't need delegates to pick somebody for us. This is the first time collectively everybody is making a choice. The problem we're having with the top political parties are few people are selected to pick those who we have no choice but to stick at the end of the day. So even if you have a um, wrong uh, history, background, for the fact that you've paid yourself or paid your way to be picked as the only candidates representing that party, we have no choice but to, to double around that. But for the first time, the narrative is changing and all youths are being included or being inclusive. So it's a great one. But what I ask is this: people keep on asking, what structure does this man have? Um, I stand to be corrected. I know we
Yeah.
have more than 187,000 plus polling units, or
180.
which is, yes, which is the most important, right? Uh, the support is nationwide.
That's right.
I saw different news coming from Jos, from far Madugiri. Shows that these people are tired of what we've been recycling. But that is not the game. The two major political parties still end up having the structure, but what do we or how are we putting that pillar to support this massive movement? How many people are coming out from those 180 something thousand polling units to be there to count and make sure the votes are counted? Until we begin to set that volunteers, not everybody will tell you they will volunteer, or not everybody who say they will volunteer will end up volunteer or standing to that. The other political party pay those who are there. Sometimes, yes, I choose to do this, I want to do this. But when it comes to that practical hour, can you stand under the sun for 6 hours, 8 hours, make sure this vote are counted, and you send your results to any network or center that the same political party has to coalesce? How are we working hard? Enough of, yes, everywhere you see we are all obedient, but I know that for sure my word, G3, what G3 in Sule, I'll be there to count. How about others? I think from there we'll begin to make points. Until we know that we have people volunteering, until we know that we can sponsor certain people to go there and stay if they are familiar with those territories, until we begin to put out the word, the 180 something thousand outside, and start asking people, can you represent here? Who will represent here? We are willing to pay you. We are willing to slash it to 5%. We are willing to do it at 5%. Just show your concern. Until we start doing that, this does P2B have structure will keep on haunting us. So my question is, how do we get those pillars standing? We have no less than 9 months, less than 8 to 7 months to the D-Day. So how do we? I see it as a very strong, we Nigerians, right?
Wrap up your question.
Lesson
Let
from the
others
answers.
make it clear.
I think I think that my brother has asked his questions, and in the course of adumbrating, answered the question. He's one of the structures. In his word, he's going to be there to ensure that it's counted. The same way he has said that he's a volunteer, a diehard volunteer. We have several volunteers across the country. Let me excite him with this information. Across 180 something thousand units, you have members of the NLC, TUC, trade unions, studentry. You have people who have been badly affected by successive years of misrule, who are owning this process. And I'm saying ownership of this process in very strong ways. I'll give you an instance that when people, it is those who are scared of this movement that are using the word no structure. I have been active in politics since my teenage days. I know that when you talk about structure, you're talking about human beings. You're talking about people at the unit level, at the ward level, at the local government level. And I am saying that the movement that we have today has more passionate people than these parties can ever boast of. Go check it out. That is why people are saying that, oh, we must tame and manage the emotions of those who are supporting Peter Obi. People are desirous of change. They're committed to change. I know that before I eventually came on board, my PA was obedient, and she was very stubborn here. Every debate had to be about the New Deal for our country. I've engaged with several people and I've seen the monstrous passion across the land. What we're doing now is giving a sense of direction to this challenge across our nation. We're talking to our young people. We're telling them to be more result-oriented than attack-based. We're telling them that one must talk to two to three, and continue like the network marketing to reach out to people, and then get volunteers who will say that at this ward, at this unit, will be there. And then interestingly, we have a new electoral regime. You saw what happened in Ekiti. As opposed to voting and election taking so long, because the new regime, the new electoral act talks about transmission of results from the units, from the polling centers. We are, by God's grace, going to have less. That's why the challenge in Ekiti was about vote buying rather than ballot box snatching, rather than mass thumb printing. And so what we're going to do, it has already begun, is about informing, educating, and creating cells of young people who will continue to preach this message day in, day out. We're not unaware of the fact that there's so much hunger in the land, and so people are going to perhaps say, oh, I need money because I need to feed. We're also telling our people that there is no duty on you to vote anybody who gives you money. And we're also going to ensure that at the polling centers, you will have the ballot, the polling booths facing those who can monitor what you do. INEC is already working towards that, because after the Ekiti allegations, INEC is saying that they will do something about ensuring that when you're voting, nobody is able to see who you're voting for. So I think that increasingly, the movement that we have on our hands, we have enough time to continue to preach the message and direct the challenge. And you have all of us, that's exactly what we tell people. All of us must continue to tell those who are saying that we have no structure, that our structure is larger, bigger, and deeper than theirs. Because we have people who in the rain and in the sun are obedient.
Okay, we'll take another question from Theodore Anedu. Theodore, please, I'll ask you to unmute yourself and ask your question.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Lady. Thank you very much, Prof, for the wonderful section. Honestly, I'm enjoying it. I just have some questions to ask. The questions are, one, how can we ensure that the INEC officials are going to give us a free and fair election come 2023 presidential election? Now, why am I saying this? Looking at what happened in Ekiti State, it wasn't just about vote buying and vote selling. I saw clips of where people actually ran away with it, as in snatched the ballot boxes, destroyed the ballot papers. I saw clips of people complaining that talks were sent to disrupt people from voting. I saw clips of security agents who were meant to ensure regularities were being taken place and people were being, as in law and abiding. They were actually induced to allow irregularities to take place during the election and during the polling unit centers. So I'm saying, and now INEC saw all of this and they couldn't even nullify the result. They went ahead to pronounce APC as the governor of the country. I haven't seen that there were clips. I haven't seen that even people were arrested by EFCC. We haven't even gotten the result from them. We haven't even know what is the outcome of those who were arrested, if they've actually made to face the law. There is nothing, but they went ahead to pronounce the result. So my question now is, how are we going to ensure that such kind of act is not going to repeat itself again in 2023? And then we'll start claiming, and then we'll start crying, people didn't come out to vote. Because one of the major challenges we're having is not about people registering right now, it's about people as well voting. Because if you look at what happened in 2019, the number of people who actually registered for the PVC and the number of people who actually voted, you find out that the number of people who voted were actually lesser than people who actually registered for the PVC in 2019. So in order to ensure that we don't have such kind of thing repeating itself again in 2023, how can we, as concerned citizens of Nigeria, because INEC saying, they do this and they are trying to ensure that in 2023 the elections are going to be fair. But look at what happened in Ekiti State. They initially told us that we should trust them, that we should take Ekiti State as a case study, and now Ekiti State has come and gone, and it was even worse. So these are things that I think, and I'm like, are you sure these guys are actually deliberate about ensuring free and fair election? Are you sure they haven't even started rigging this election already before the day of election? So these are the questions I have to ask, honestly.
Smart questions. Let me say, frankly, that the international observers, my friend and brother Samson Todo of Yaga Africa and the EU monitoring groups did say that, yes, there were a few hiccups, but it wasn't worse than the past elections. That's point number one. That's the truth. It wasn't worse than the past elections. It can be better. I think we must. But let me tell you what I have told people who have talked to me about the challenge of the behemoth and the Leviathan, that's the PDP, and what they can do come 2023. I have said to people that if you have a mass movement across the structures, not just what we see on TV now, not just what we see on the social media, if you have a mass movement that is strong enough at the units, at the local government level, at the ward level, nobody will see that kind of movement anywhere in the world and undermine it. That's the truth. So what we need first is to continue to build and deepen this movement. What we must do everywhere you are is to continue to preach the message. We have enough to tell the people. We have enough truth to sell out there. And then when we're able to do that, get our home together and continue to preach the message, then we have our volunteers emerging across the 180 something thousand units. Then we continue to work and engage with INEC, because the truth is that INEC knows that the next election must come out tops as the freest and the fairest in our nation's history. And the Electoral Act gives an inkling to that reality. INEC has said regarding Ekiti that they will see what comes out of the courts, but they did their best, that they will improve in Osun. Osun is one of the out-season elections, and Osun is coming in a few weeks. But I want to say here that for all those who are obedient, what we must continue to do, and consistently so, is to preach the message, spread it across the nation, spread it to our ward, to our units. You'll find out that not even the money bag can dare to rig elections when you have hundreds of young people who are obedient, staying at their units and ensuring that votes are cast and that the votes count. So what we must do is take this movement beyond the doubts and the diatribes in the space. I remember it was Fidel Castro who said in the times of the Cuban Revolution, when everybody had told him that it wasn't going to work, he said, when a people are united, when a people have a common spirit and a common determination, not even the sight of a prison yard, nor the sounds of a cemetery can stop them. For a single spirit, a single consciousness, a single determination will sustain them. What we have is not just politics. What we're preaching is not just politics. We are linchpins, paladins, leaders of a redemption that will happen. We're those who believe that together we can transform our country. We are grail bearers and messengers of a redemption that must happen. And I keep telling people that we must take this away from conventional politics and tell people that on our hands is a ballot-based peaceful revolution. Enlist people into the movement. Together we're able, together we're stronger, together we're willing, and together we're bigger and larger than the two big parties put together. Because our determination is to fix our today and redeem our tomorrow. That's the way to go about it. So I'm not caught in the doubts and in the fears that they try to throw. I am faithful and believing that if we raise movements and people across our nation, nobody will come to a polling center where you know that most of the young people here are obedient and try to smash or snatch the ballot box. INEC will do its duty, but we need to help them do what is needful, right and right. And as we progress towards the campaign proper, you will find out that this movement is not structureless. You'll find out that this movement is indeed the one with structures across the nation.
Okay, so at this point, we'll call on Emeka J. Obu. Please, every question should be coming in just 1 minute for time's sake. So Emeka Obu, I'll ask you to unmute yourself. Unmute yourself and ask your question, Emeka J. Obu.
Hello.
We can hear you.
You can hear me, okay. Good evening, all.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you for this space, and thank you also for the opportunity to express ourselves on this movement. I have two critical things to suggest. You know, when they talk about the structures, one will be thinking that there is a block or an institution they have created. But it's not so. The structure is a human being they use to manipulate voters, either through bags of rice or money. And this works so fine in the hinterland. In the hinterland, where people are not educated, where people are not aware of voter education. That is why what I want to ask. For instance, in states where, like we can say, this is PDP states, because the PDP is a governor, or this is APC state because APC is a governor, where they win election is at the hinterland, where they will tell councillors, local government chairman, to go down to those places where people are uneducated and get them vote for the candidate of their choice. Structure is simple, in a simple language is deliver. And that is where you come here, somebody has delivered his word or his local government. So what is our strategy to cut across those illiterates and those who are not empowered on voter education? That is one. The second area is, how are we deepening our sensitization on the northern aspect, the northern part of Nigeria? The heat, the business is more like on the south. How are we intensifying the grip on the populace of the north? I want to see where some northerners can now be coming up as we are doing, maybe in the social media or in the TV, also showing obedience. Within the South, already is the rainbow around the South. So, but the North, we are gradually penetrating. So how are we intensifying the force? Thank you.
Very interestingly, the few days of my engaging with the leaders of this movement, I found a willingness to not only engage with the clergy and the leadership in the North, but engage in their local dialects. Because, and that's why, if you notice a few days ago, you see a lot of young boys, the people they call the otherwise downtrodden, the Kalakawas, the Marjories. You see them coming out on the social media with, you have photographs of them talking about, some of them in Hausa, some of them in Fufude, saying that they want Peter Obi for president. People are beginning to reach out to people using their volunteers, their neighborhood heads. You have seen that some people keep talking about the movement as very effective in the South, but I've seen quite a lot of young people donating properties and offices to the movement across the North. Interestingly, most people are not aware that the flag on campaigns effectively commencing hasn't started. The campaign is going to effectively commence in August, I hear. And so what we're doing now is reaching out and creating structures and blocks across our country and reaching out to people who can, using the church, using the mosques, using the clergy, using leadership organization, traditional associations, because everybody understands that across our country, what affects one now directly affects the other indirectly. We're held by a single garment of want, need, hunger, pain, insecurity. And this garment of pain is a collective garment. I was talking with a few people in my office this morning, and I said that every time I open my WhatsApp, I either get out of the WhatsApp with tears in my eyes, because you see so many people asking for one support or another. And that's how bad it has become. And so when we're preaching the message of change, we're saying we want to change those who told us in 2014, 2015 that they were going to make things better. When we're saying that Atiku is too old to fix our country, we're not saying that because he's not good enough to govern. We're saying that the challenger leadership is far more onerous, far more taxing now than ever. And that we want a man who understands the urgency of now. We're not saying that we hate anybody. We're saying that we must, as a people, and that's why I cited the instance of my I'm from Ibuzo in Delta State. I have seen my people. I belong to a group of over 500 people from my locality. And that's how the spread, the message is going. People are saying, people in diaspora are reaching out to their communities and to those they support at home. And they're telling them the same message. So what we're saying is that before they know it, that's why I said by November, it will be very clear to the two big parties that the race is over, because Nigerians are saying that we don't hate you, but we want a new deal. We don't hate you, but we want a new Nigeria. We don't hate you, but we want to fix and reset our country. And so, my dear brother, anywhere you are, what I'm doing here, you can do at your own level. We can continue to spread this message and make it go viral. We can do that at local level, at our units. That's the structure they are talking about, like you noted, at the ward level, at the unit level. We can have enough people who will consistently, night and day, preach this message and get volunteers who will nudge this message even deeper. And together at the end of the day, when the election comes, we'll understand the fact that the Nigerian people are united and they desire to bet a new nation for all.
Thank you. Pastor Emmanuel, you unmute yourself and ask your question, please, in 1 minute. Pastor Emmanuel, are you there? Don't please unmute yourself and ask your question. I've asked that you unmute yourself. Chinwike,
hello, hello.
We can hear you.
Hello.
We can hear you.
Good evening, everyone. Depends the area you are hearing me from. Some of the questions I want to ask, some people have asked the question, but I still want to emphasize on, and first and foremost, I must comment on the effort of our big bros, Prof, and you, the moderator. God bless every one of you. I know some of us will be paying sacrifice, but the degree of sacrifice is more than one another. Well, like what I want to suggest concerning the security, like I will encourage every youth, we should not take security lightly, even starting from, because we have been seeing a lot of irregularity concerning even the area of registered for a PVC now. We see all those people mobilizing as to come and they cause a kind of a commotion where everything is going on smoothly. They will just bring their hoodlum and begin to chase people from so that people cannot even register their PVC. But that very day, like each place, I always tell people, everybody should ready that they say anything will won't happen may happen. Anything that we know that those that have their registered gun, they should come along with it. Because not that but I'm just, because what they will use to scare people is their gun and all those things. So anything, if you have anything you can use to defend yourself on that very day.
Pastor, you're not going for war. Please, you have just 1 minute to ask your question. Unfortunately, you've exceeded 1 minute.
Okay, yeah, let me see. Sorry, I want to say no wala. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Pastor, for your understanding. Don, please take the floor. All right. I don't think he's here. Chinwike, please, are you there?
Hello, I'm here, please. Good evening, everyone.
Minutes, please.
Okay, so there's been a groundswell of concern about the safety of our principal, Peter Obi. I mean, everyone is really concerned about his safety. I mean, considering the Nigerian political terrain and how desperate and brutal, the politicians can be, and of course how powerful they can be, and their far-reaching tentacles everywhere. Just this evening, I stumbled on something in the social media published by the Intercity or something like that, of alleged plot, to assassinate our principal before 2023 election, because from all indications, it's almost becoming clear that if it is not stopped, he's definitely going to cut away the diadem. So that's so what is in place to ensure that this doesn't happen?
I may not be the right person to engage on that, but having run for the office of president in 2011, I know that at some point when the cats become hot and when the odds become very engaging, very uncertain, you'll improve and increase on your own security machinery. I think that beyond the fact that he has the right to state security protection, the truth is also that, and that was why it was difficult. Let me give you a practical instance. When the ANC in a hostile South Africa was doing what it had to do, it became almost impossible to assassinate Nelson Mandela, because even the government that he was fighting knew that the first responsibility is to make sure that he's safe. Because had anything happened to him, he would have been much more violent and much more tumultuous. So what we must continue to do, and I keep telling people that the best way to protect P2B is to continue to raise the momentum. That way, you'll find out that it's the State Security Service and the police that will continue to say, we cannot manage the crisis that will come if something untoward happens to this man. So they will have to improve on his security. So the best way to protect him is to continue to spread this message. The best way to protect him is to continue to build structures and to make more people obedient to the call for the redemption of our country. The best way to ensure that everyone who's on the front line of this challenge is safe is to continue to recruit people every day to this onerous challenge of fixing our country. And I believe that if we do what is needful, try to right, we shall ultimately, let me use your word, through our principle, it will be cut away the diadem. I will see a new Nigeria come 2023.
Thank you so much. Chinwike, in 1 minute, please unmute yourself and ask a question.
Lady, we might have to continue this another time,
Yes,
I'm still in the office.
We have just 1 minute to wrap this up.
All right. Thank you for this opportunity you've given me. This is a great job you people are doing. My question simply is, or a contribution, issue of structure is not a difficult thing to do.
Right.
Between now and August, it can be worked out and say, okay, let's make sure that in all the 6 geopolitical zones, we'll have somebody leading the team there. In all the 36 states and the FCT, we'll have somebody leading the team there. In all the 777 or 74 local governments, we'll have somebody leading the team there.
Right.
And a structure, once that is set up in that way between now and August, that's a structure on ground already. Then the second thing I want to say is that where our principal needs to balance his, ideology of being a free man for the people, interacting with the people, mingling with the people, and the issue of security. That has to be checked. so that because Nigeria is Nigeria and we must not forget that. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that submission. We really do appreciate you. We could go on and on, but time is not just smiling at us at all. So we have to draw the curtains at this point. I want to say thank you so much to all of you who made this an interesting session. We'll always come to you with more interesting gist. And yes, to our professor who's been sitting here, giving answers to all our many questions. We appreciate you. We can't thank you enough, but we can just say thank you. Thank you so much, Professor, sir.
The pleasure is mine. God bless you and God bless Nigeria.
Thank you very much. And from everyone viewing online, remember to hit that subscribe button. Do not forget, head straight to our Instagram page and do follow us on Facebook. And until we come your way again, this is Lydia saying, have yourself a pleasant night rest. Good night.
Nice one. I like to read this one. Everywhere. It's really not in Nigeria.